This is Eric Magidson with Central Oregon Community College. This is Lesson 2, Creating and Editing a Workbook, Microsoft Excel. I'll do this lesson in two parts. This is part 1. We will cover creating a workbook from scratch, populating a worksheet with data, filling a series with autofill, cutting, copying, and pasting data, and copying data series with the mouse. So let's go ahead and get started by opening up a fresh book. There is book 1 of Microsoft Excel. One of the things that we need to know is understand what's the difference between a workbook and worksheets. A workbook is a combination of worksheets. When we open a blank workbook, we get 3 sheets by default, and these sheets would represent associated data that we need to keep in a book. So I'm going to walk through this lesson pretty much verbatim. The first thing it has us do is launch Excel. I'm on page 22 of the text. It says to go to cell A1 and key Fabricam Inc. So we've done that. We're going to hit the Enter key, and by hitting the Enter key you'll notice it works us down the columns. So we're in column A, we've hit the Enter key. In cell A2 we want to enter monthly sales report. We're going to hit the Enter key. Sometimes when we're in a workbook, we need to open up another workbook, and it's going to show us how to do that. And we can do that just by coming in here to the Office button. That's the Office button, and hitting New. It brings up our new workbook options. In this case, we're going to click Blank Workbook. And if you notice, I now have Book 2. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and close Book 2 and just continue on with book 1. So we've created again another blank workbook. Continuing on page 23, it says we're going to select cell A4. So there's A4, and we're going to key Agent. This time, however, we're going to hit the Tab key instead of Enter. Enter moved us down a column. Tab is going to move us over the row. So we're going to hit Tab, and we're going to say Last Closing. We're going to hit the Tab key. We're now in C4, and we're going to type January. So there we are. As you can see, as we type, if the column isn't wide enough, the information from column A is going to go over to column B. It says for us to select A5, we're going to type in Richard Carey. This time hitting the Enter key, going to A6, David Ortiz, Kim Akers. And remember, as we do this, you can go ahead and pause the video and type in the data and then come back. Nicole Carroll or Karen. It says to select A9 and to type just R. What it's going to show you here is, since we have an entry above in the column Richard Carey that starts with R, it gives us the option of, at this point, just hitting Enter and entering Richard Carey again. That's called the autofill feature. But in this case, we want to enter a new name, Ryan Califato, so I'm going to just start typing RY. If you notice, Richard Carey goes away, and we can type the rest. Califato. And then it says to double click the marker between columns A and B. What they mean is we can highlight A. There's the marker. If you notice, I get 2 little arrows there. We double click and it'll auto widen the columns for us. We're going to do that again. And what it does is it widens to the longest piece of data. So if you can see here, our longest text string was monthly sales report. I'm going to go ahead and make this just a little bit bigger so we can all see it. And we'll continue on. Now if you notice, I've hidden, I prefer to hide so that I can see more data. I've hidden the ribbon. To get the ribbon back, I can just double click on a tab and the ribbon comes back. If I double click again and only single click, the ribbon comes over the data so that I can use the functionality, and as soon as I do something, the ribbon goes away. Let me go ahead and just permanently place the ribbon there. Continuing on page 24, we are going to click in cell B5, and we're going to look at some formatting here. So in B5, we are going to type 1 WAC 4, WAC 11, the current date. and then we're going to press the Enter key. We're going to then type 1 whack 2511. This time we're going to do just 117, 128, and finally this time we're going to key January 21st, comma 2008. If you notice as we do that, it's going to convert this last one into a standard date format. So as you see, as we enter dates in certain formats, they're going to format specifically. Now we are going to change these formats later on in what I think is part 2. Continuing on page 25, we're going to click cell C5 and we're going to type the $275,000. So again, we're formatting this with the $sign and the comma. We're hitting the Enter key. This time we're going to just type 125,000, and if you notice, it formats that way. We'll again change formatting so that it standardizes our data, makes it easier for our end users to read shortly. 209, it does have the comma, 123. 258, comma, and 145,700. So there we are. We've entered some values, and again, we're going to format this later. I want to point out that on page 26 of the text we're using, there's some characters there. You want to look at that table. It indicates what happens when we use a positive sign, a negative, or parentheses. If we're doing accounting, parentheses is a negative value of some sort, $sign, percent, fraction, etc. So remember that here we entered the whack, and it's not a fraction, it's a date, and it knows that because of the date format we used previously. So at this point we're going to fill a series with autofill. It says to select D4, and we're going to select the fill button up here. That's one way to do it. And we are going to say fill right. So if you notice, it filled or copied January and filled right. And the reason that it did that is because we told it to fill. Okay? It says to select C10. So we're going to go down and select C10. This time we're going to choose the fill button and tell it to fill down. And it's going to copy the value from the first. Okay, so these aren't really series yet. It says click the fill handle in C5 as shown. So we're going to go to C5 this time. The fill handle is right down here in a corner. There's an example of it in figure 2.6 of your text. And we are going to drag that to F5. So what I do is I hold down the left mouse as I drag it through, it says F5. We let go. And if you notice these railroad tracks, this is something we need to learn real quickly, it means the column isn't wide enough, so I'll widen the column, and you can see that it copied the value. Why is it copying versus perhaps making it 276,277? Is because we don't have a series. So if we don't give the computer a series, it's only going to copy the value versus autofilling a series. So it says point to the autofill button and click the fill formatting only. I actually need to go back so I can show you this. So we've filled that, and had we have filled that correctly, I'll show you what happened. So as you can see, when I fill it again, I get this fill options. So let's look at our options here. We can copy the cells, we can fill the series, we can fill the formatting, or fill without formatting. So in this case, we're going to do fill formatting only. And as you can see, no values were filled in there, just the formatting, which means when I enter something into this cell, it's going to format it with the $sign, as we can see. So let's continue on. This time we're going to choose C4. We're going to use the fill handle and fill it to H4. If you notice as I do this, it does fill a series because Excel has been programmed to automatically know that January, when we do a fill, most likely is going to want February, March, etc. That works for Monday, Tuesday. It works for any kind of series that's a given series. Now in the case of numbers where we only have one number, it's not going to do that. Okay, so it says to select C13 and key 2007. Press the Enter key. It says click the fill handle in C13 and drag to D13. Now if you notice we only have one value, so do you think it's going to fill or is it going to iterate? The fact is it just fills the previous number. And this time D13 though, we're going to fill and enter 2008. Now suddenly we have, when we select the two cells and we're going to fill to G13, now we've created a series. We've told it 2007, 2008. It knows to continue that series with 9, 10, and 11. It says to select cells F4, Frank 4, through H4. So here we have a range of cells and we're going to hit the delete key. It's going to delete everything in that range. Finally, we're going to select C10 through G13 and we're going to delete that as well. In figure 2.7, there is an example of what your spreadsheet should look like so far. Now, although I'm skipping a bunch of the text and just doing the actual physical work, I want to remind you, please go and read that text. There's some great information in there that you don't want to miss. So I'm on page 29. It says select the range A4 through A9, which I've done. It says to press the control key and point the cursor to the bottom border of the selected range. So I've held down the control key. If you notice now my cursor has a little plus sign on it. The copy pointer is displayed. Be sure to hold the control key the entire time or you will move the value instead of copying it. With the copy pointer displayed, hold down the mouse button and drag to select down until A12 through A17 is selected. So let me go ahead and I'll hit the control key again. I'll get that and I will drag down A12 through A17. When I let go, if you notice, instead of moving, it copies. So there's a way we can copy redundant data that we may need to use multiple times in a spreadsheet. Now we'll move a series of data with the mouse. So we're going to select B4 through B9. So B4 through B9, we're going to select that. We're going to point the cursor to the bottom border of the selected range. The move pointer is displayed. So we saw what the copy pointer looked like. The move pointer looks like 4 arrows, and if you notice, it works on any of the edges. Okay, so it said to do it on the bottom, so I have that. I'm going to hold down the left mouse key and I'm going to drag this down to B12 through B17. So this time it's not going to copy, but it's going to move. So we release the button and there it is. The selected range is done. So it says select the range of cells C4 through E9. C4 through E9, you can see that the first cell in my range is C4. Then E9, it says point the cursor at the left border of the selection. Move arrows come again, drag left and drop the range of cells in column B. So this time we're going to just move that over. So if you notice, closing date is down here and we have the information. Finally, copying and pasting data. We're going to open up the clipboard here. So we do that right here. It says click the clipboard dialog launch box. That's right down here in the corner. These are all dialog launch boxes and give us more information, more functionality than this small section up here gives us. So these aren't our only tools. If we see one of these arrows, it means there's more. That's the way I like to think of it. It says select C5, so we're going to select C5. And we are going to key the value 305,000. So we've done that. We're going to press the Enter key, which I've done. It says select C5 again. Click Copy up here. Another simpler way is to hit Control C on the keyboard. See right there as I come to copy? Down below it says Control C or just clicking Copy. So I'm going to click Copy and we're going to see that show up here in the clipboard. Now remember, we can keep up to 24 items in the clipboard and paste them just by selecting them. So we don't always have to put something in the clipboard each time we want to copy and paste. It says select cell C8 If you notice, the flashing marquee tells us that we're going to copy. We've selected C8 and click the paste. There's the paste. Now with D5 selected, press delete. So we're going to do D5 and press the delete key. If you notice, the copy goes away. Select C6. And so we'll select C6 and we're going to enter 185,000. There we go, there's 185,000. You can copy data from one worksheet to another and paste it to another worksheet or workbook. So we're going to select A1 through A9. We're going to choose copy, or again, Control C. This time we're going to go to sheet 2. We're going to select A1 as we see here. And we're going to click paste. So there's the range of data. Now if you notice as we did this, it left the column width, so we can come in here to our paste options and choose keep source formatting. Keep source formatting. Actually, keep source column width. So let me find that. Keep source column widths. And if you notice when I do this, it widens the column to match the column in C1. In sheet 1. It says click sheet 1 with the C9 active. C9 active. There we go. And we're going to click 305 in there as well. The item in the task pane is pasted. So in sheet 1, we should have copied and pasted that, but you get the idea. So cutting and pasting data. In this case, what we did is copied. This time we're going to cut paste. So we're going to select sheet 2. We're going to select A8. We're going to choose cut. If you notice, now we suddenly get a marquee. We're going to select A9. So we're actually going to overwrite Ryan with Nicole, and we're going to choose paste. If you notice, this time it doesn't copy, but it cuts it out and it pastes. We can do undo till we get back to see sheet 2. So that's it for part 1. Part 2 will be posted shortly. Have a great one.